My name is Amanda, and today we're going to be making some creepy cupcakes. The first step in baking is to always remember to preheat your oven. So today we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And then the next thing that you have to keep in mind is you want to have all of your cooking utensils set and ready so that when you start cooking, you're not running around trying to make sure you have everything. So today we're going to be using a plastic spoon and a plastic spatula. We have 3 different size mixing bowls because we're going to need them. We have a cooling metal rack, our cupcake sheet and a cookie pan, and a hand mixer. So after you've gathered all of your utensils and bowls that you're going to use, you want to gather all of your ingredients so that you know that you have them on hand and you have the proper amounts. You don't want to start baking and then realize that you're short an egg or short a cup of sugar. So here we've got all of our ingredients pre-measured. So we have 2½ cups of flour right here. We've got 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, a quarter teaspoon of baking soda right here in this cup. We've got 3/4 teaspoon of table salt, 1 3/4 cup sugar, 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and you want this to be melted and cooled down a little bit before you use it. You need 1 cup of buttermilk at room temperature, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then we're also going to have 6 large egg whites, and we want those at room temperature as well. So for this next step, we're going to start mixing the cupcake mix. So in your first large bowl, you're going to mix together the following ingredients. So we're going to mix together the flour, the baking powder, the salt, the baking soda, and 1 1/2 cups of sugar. So you can choose to separate the sugar. I left it all in one bowl, so I'm going to measure that out now. So once you have it all in the bowl like this, you're going to take your whisk and you're just going to mix it all together until it's perfectly mixed and it's not got chunks of flour or any other ingredients. So you want it to be a very well mixed mixture. Alright, so you want to take your bowl of dry ingredients and just set that aside. And then you're going to grab your next bowl and your wet ingredients. And then we want to use just the egg whites on this, so I'm going to show you how to separate that. So if you just have a large egg, you're going to want to crack it like you normally would. And you want to make it pretty much even amounts of shell on each side. So when you open it up, you're going to not want to pour it like you usually would for an egg. And you're going to kind of toggle the yolk back and forth until you get just the egg whites coming out. And you can see in the bowl that it's just egg whites at this point. And then you're going to take the yolk and you're just going to put that aside. We're going to do that with 3 of the eggs. The vanilla, the oil, the melted and cooled down butter, as well as the buttermilk. Now if you don't have buttermilk, it's really easy to make. So if you just grab 1 cup of milk and add 4½ tablespoons of vinegar, that'll make the milk into buttermilk for you. So once you've got it all in the mixture, the buttermilk does tend to chunk up a little bit. It's not going to hurt the mixture at all. That's actually what we want it to do. So you want to whisk this very nice until it's smooth. And like if you look close, you can see that it's got the different color textures in there. That's exactly what we want it to look like. So at this point, you're going to want to mix your wet and dry ingredients. So we've got our bowl right here of the dry ingredients, and we're just going to take the wet mixture, and you want to just give it a quick whisk right before you pour it in. And then we're going to pour it right in there. Kind of use your whisk to get the edges out so that we can get as much of the mixture as possible. You don't want to leave any behind. There's measurements for a reason, so you want them to come out just as well as we want them to be. We'll go ahead and put this in the sink. And then you're going to want to whisk this all together. So when it becomes a little pasty, you want it to be pasty, but you want to keep going. You don't want to stop. Take my spoon, and again, just like when mixing the dry and wet ingredients by themselves, you always want to make sure to get the sides and the bottom and every little crevice in your bowl. You don't want there to be a pocket at the bottom that has nothing but dry ingredients, because that'll throw off your mixture. And you don't want all of your wet ingredients to stick to the sides, because that as well will throw off your mixture. Alright, so now that I've mixed all this, you can see that the consistency is smooth, but you don't want to overmix it. Overmixing it will keep the cupcakes from rising properly. So you just want to mix them till they're smooth, and then you're fine to take that mixture and just set it aside. So in this bowl, I've got the 3 additional egg whites, and you can use either a hand mixer or just a plain whisk to do this, but you want to whisk them until they become like this frothiness right here. And then you're going to want to slowly add the sugar. So we've got the rest of the sugar right here. And so just a little bit at a time, you just want to sprinkle it over the egg whites. And then whisk it in some more. And we're going to do that until we've used all of that sugar. And it becomes a nice meringue. And you'll know when it's a nice meringue when it becomes peaky. At this point, you're going to see that when you pull it up, it's got that nice texture to it, almost like slime. And that's pretty much what you want. When I said that it becomes peaky, you see how when I touch it with the whisk, it comes up with the whisk? That's what you want it to do. And that's because of the combination of the egg whites and the sugar that it does that. Your meringue, you see the little air bubbles in there. You want it to be very airy, very frothy. That's going to add a nice moisture and nice consistency to your cupcakes. So you're going to want to start off with only half of the meringue going into your mixture. So now you're going to grab your spatula and just kind of push half the mix in there. If you go a little over, go a little under, it's not going to make that big of a difference because you're adding it all anyways. And then the technique that you want to use with this once you put the meringue in is you want to fold it. So folding is just an over-under motion. And you're just going to want to keep turning the bowl. And once you can no longer identify just meringue, that's when you want to add the other half. And be careful not to overmix, because overmixing is going to eliminate the air that comes from the meringue, and it'll defeat the purpose, and it'll change the texture of your cupcakes. So once you have your mixture done, you'll see that it has a nice little pearly color to it. That's because of the meringue. So now we're going to want to fill the cupcake pan. So you want to fill the tins about 3/4 of the way full. Oops. Don't be afraid of a little spillage. A nice little rag will wipe that right off. So you want to take your cupcake pan and you want to put it on a cookie sheet just like that. And then when you put it in the oven, you're going to want to put it on the top rack. You don't want them to get too heated. Right in the center, and you're going to slide them right in. So the instructions for the cupcake call for them to be cooked for 18 to 20 minutes. So I tend to go right in the middle right there and do 19 minutes. So either on your microwave or your stove or a kitchen timer, you're going to want to put in 19 minutes and start that. And then when that goes off, you can check your cupcakes. So you want them to be firm on the top, and you don't want the middle to jiggle. Another thing you can do to test them is take a toothpick and stick it right in the middle. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes when they're ready. So to check your cupcakes to make sure they're done, all you're going to need is a very simple toothpick. You're going to insert it into the center of one of your cupcakes, and if it comes out clean, then you know they're ready to start cooling. So after you've finished pulling your cupcakes out and making sure they're fully cooked, you're going to want to place them on a wire rack for about 20 minutes or until they're cool to the touch, and then that's when you know that you can decorate them. We're going to start with just putting some of the red frosting on here. For this one, we're just going to do 2 blobs. And then maybe just a couple swirls. We're going to grab 2 of these creepy eyeballs. You're going to stick those right in there. Push them down in so that the blood kind of gushes out around them. And if you look, it kind of looks like a little smiley face. On this one, we're going to do just a pretty basic line. And then we're going to stick the dagger inside. But to make it a little bit more fun, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And I've got a large straw, so we're going to poke out the center of this. And I'm going to fill that with the blood frosting, so that when you open it up, it kind of gushes out with the blood everywhere. And just stick that right back in there. We'll go ahead and put that one in between the eyes. So there you have it. And voila, we have our bloody spooky cupcakes. Not only do they look creepy, they taste delicious.